fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
Basha K. Ali!
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what good thing to say? I doubt people stand up to something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr Podcast. You can listen to this podcast everywhere: iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rumble, Rockfin, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, even for some reason. Facebook, they don't like me on Facebook. They declare a lot of my episodes to be hate speech for some reason. But anyway, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have this guest on today. We've had Tiffany Justice on before, and I'm so excited to welcome another fabulous mom from Moms for Liberty. Welcome to the show, Scarlett Johnson.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. The amount of screenshots and videos that this woman has sent me before this interview, she is prepared. You could teach a class on this. You really could.
I do. I give a lot of lectures about this stuff. Hold on, I have to turn off.
She's in demand.
I know, I have to turn off all my noise. All right, there we go.
So tell me a little bit, Scarlett, about how you became involved with Moms for Liberty. You know, did this happen for you, like many other parents during the pandemic, when they sort of woke up to the horrors of what was going on in their children's classrooms by kind of observing and eavesdropping on, classes that were over Zoom? Or was this a process that was, happening for you before then? Did it affect your kids directly? Just sort of walk us through your origin story.
All of the above. I often say to my other friends who are probably watching right now, my other Moms for Liberty sisters, that we were once like normal moms. Minivan mom. I did, because I was a stay-at-home mom. I have 5 children. And I volunteered in the classrooms all of the time. I was lunchroom monitor, playroom monitor, classroom leader. I volunteered. I baked cookies. I did all of the things. I was always in the schools, had good relationships with teachers, and am a firm believer in education, especially because of my background. My parents didn't have a high school education. I was born in Milwaukee. I'm Puerto Rican. And so education, my parents, even though we were raised in a rough area, my parents really prioritized education. My dad joined the Marines and, always taught all 4 of us, I'm the oldest of 4, to love this country, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I went to college. I didn't have a car for a long time. I did have 3 jobs, put myself through college, got accepted to law school, all the things. And my parents were very proud, but education saved my life, changed my life, and so I really prioritized it. And for my own kids, I was really involved with their education. And I saw some things happening. And when I reflect back, I knew that there were things that weren't right, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I started to pull my younger kids out of public school, even though I specifically moved to the area that I live now because of the public school system. It was a good public school system, a nice area, suburban area. And
what state are you in?
I'm in Wisconsin.
Okay, right.
I'm from Wisconsin. And though I was a Navy wife, so I had traveled the world for 12 years before we settled
Wow.
to Wisconsin. So I've lived a lot of different places, a lot of different parts of the country and different parts of the world. I've had to homeschool my kids when we lived in Japan for a little while. So, so just I think I have a really unique perspective, and that's why I've been successful, because I can't be put into a box. Even though they do call me a white supremacist, the Puerto Rican white supremacist.
We all are, Scarlett. Everybody in this on the show, in the chat, we've all been called white supremacists.
Oh yes, I know. I've been called so many names, and I was upset at first, and now it's just nothing. Now people talk to me like, "How do you handle it?" It's like I don't read the comments. I don't pay attention. I block a lot of people, and I get a lot more love than I do hate. A lot of people always appreciate what I do, and and we can talk later about all the opportunities I've had to go from someone who voted for president, who didn't even know who my school board members were, never voted in a school board election. The thought of speaking in front of people actually gave me so much anxiety. The first time I spoke to my school board, I threw up beforehand. I went to the bathroom. I was like shaking with nerves. So that's like almost 5 years ago to now. And it's scary to talk to your school board, because that's your community. Those are the people you run into at the grocery store. It's a lot harder to kind of be that loud voice in your own community. So I give a lot of respect to all of the folks that go and they get up and they do their 3-minute speech, and they're actually criticizing their local officials. That is not an easy thing to do, especially when you have to drive your kids over to that school, drop them off, and cross your fingers and hope that they aren't going to, pay the price for your boldness. So it's a big deal to speak at your school board meetings and to stand up. But yeah, so COVID happened, and I'm just kind of a tenacious person, and I do a lot of research, and I thought my kids, they should open up the schools. My kids need to get back to a normal life. This is crazy. I saw my own children, especially my teenagers, the preteen girls. I saw them anxiety, depression, experience just them losing everything, and just a snap, it was gone.
Wow.
And adults who we used to look at children like, do it for the children, save the children. Suddenly now children were a disease. They were a virus. They were to be sacrificed so that older people could, so that adults could feel safe, so that they could feel healthy. There was just a really weird time where just kids were nothing. The way that people looked at my kids, I would see the way that they would look if they so much as sneezed, or if they coughed, or they rubbed their nose. It was horrible. And then to lock them out of their classrooms, take away their sports, take away their activities, tell them they can't even go to the playground, they can't go to the beach, they can't do anything. It was just so awful. And so I was one of the early groups that fought back right away. And we, in my community, when they forced the masks, and they made our kids eat lunch facing the walls, and they made them stay 6 feet apart. They made them go one way down hallways. They had to walk around at my daughter's high school. They had to walk around holding plexiglass everywhere they went.
Oh my God. No. What's it?
Yeah.
Everyone had their own sheet of plexiglass?
Yeah, they had plexiglass, and they had to like walk around holding it and then put it down on their desk. And it was so ridiculous.
That's insane.
It was all insane. It gives me PTSD just to think about how bad it was. And so we fought, and in Wisconsin, we were lucky. We had a conservative state Supreme Court at that time. They, by May, overruled our governor's lockdown. And so Wisconsin was actually pretty early to kind of, it was your choice. Businesses had the choice. They could force masks, they could do this or that. And schools had the choice to be open or not. And we fought to open hours, and we recalled 4 school board members. And that was a whole ordeal we could do a whole thing about, but we had to get about
Wow.
16,000 signatures in 60 days. And we did it by like just 10 to 12 hours a day, going door to door, a group of us parents. And then I ran for school board twice and I lost both times. And after the second time, I'm crying on the couch, just like, oh, what should I do? How are we going to change things? And then I got a call from some friends and they said, you should join Moms for Liberty. And I'm like, it's not a group in Florida, but it was a national organization. And so I joined part of the early organization in Wisconsin. And since then, it's been 3 years and, just kind of kept fighting. And what we found, what was even worse than COVID, was we started to look at curriculum. We started to, of course, the George Floyd incident, and then suddenly, topics of race and privilege and conversations that even my district hired a DEI consortium, paid $42,000 for them to do a 3-hour seminar for the entire community to attend.
Oh my God. I think you say for the year that was their salary. No,
It
that's
was
just
just for one 3-hour seminar. Yeah, one 3-hour seminar. And during this seminar, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is, 'cause James Lindsay is someone that was, he's obviously like a brilliant scholar, and he was talking about this critical race theory. And with my background in political science and law, I was aware of a lot of these concepts. And when I saw that there was a wheel of privilege and there was a scale, rate how racist you are, and read Paulo Freire and basically,
wow.
white fragility, all of that stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, this is in our school. And so we started to look through my district and then a bunch of other districts and then our Wisconsin State Education Department. And then it grew from there to learn more about what the next thing was, which was gender ideology, which surprised me to no end. I thought, not in Wisconsin. No way is this stuff where, expansive gender identities, like no way is that in my state. But as I sent you the documents, it certainly was and is in my state. And after the election of Joe Biden, like just something happened in education, like a Thanos, and just went DEI woke crazy.
Wow.
Just crazy.
So Scarlett, how did you begin to find what was in the curriculum? Like with COVID, it was easier because you could overhear, you could look at some things, but I imagine like your research, exceeded past the COVID, like the lockdown time. So how do you begin to collect slides? Like how do you go about finding out what's in the curriculum for your kids' classes?
Well, lots of times teachers started to send me things. I started to talk on local radio a lot, and parents and teachers would send me things. So a lot of educators started to direct me, and they told me like, hey, here's a link. You should fill this out because this is taxpayer funded. Parents can watch some of this DEI training. And so I thought, okay, I'll sign up and I'll watch it. And I would attend all day seminars. It was all through Zoom. Still, a lot of it is through Zoom. And what I learned, I screen recorded, I took pictures, and then I started to kind of report on that and put that out there and put it on social media. And then more parents would say, look what I found. And then there's organizations like Parents Defending Education that do incident reports. And I started to work with them. And I would send them reports and they would send me reports. And then with Moms for Liberty, our organization, we had a lot of training, and we have a lot of speakers and lawyers and former teachers. They would come, we would go to events, summits, or they would have online training and show us, how do you go through your board decks in your school? How do you do open records requests? And a lot of my friends, one in particular, Meg Brock, just really, really good at open records requests. And we started, they would send us, we'd have certain keywords, and then they would have to send us the documents, and then we would have it. But most of it just, the other thing is, they are not really hiding it. It's really out there. It doesn't take much to look. And especially in 2022, they started to really go overboard on the, Pride Month and Transgender Days of Visibility. And so parents would email me, or a good friend of mine, Vicki McKenna. I go on her show once or twice a week, and she's a female conservative radio host. And another friend of mine, Brian Schimming, who is the chairman of the Wisconsin Republican Party now, but he was a regular guest host on WISN 1130, and he would have me come on and start to talk about this stuff. Because I would share with him some of the things I found, and he's like, "You have to come on the radio. You have to share this. This is just insanity." And it started to snowball. And I can't open up my DMs without being bombarded with Scarlett, look here, look. So now we have a bigger team of ambassadors. I have a really great team in Wisconsin, and there's 4 of us. And Bill, Amber, and Laura, shout out to them. And we go around the entire state, and we give lectures, we listen, we attend school board meetings, we talk to parents, we talk to school board members, and to anyone that is interested. And then we've got now we have 22 chapters in Wisconsin. We have 72 counties, and 22 of our counties have chapters. And so we're building this whole network across our state. And now we've formed a state legislative committee. So we just had a legislative day of action where we had about 70 of our members go to the Capitol, and we talked to our state senators, our state representatives, and then they listened to us. We spent the whole day there learning about how do we get involved? How do we contact our legislators? How do we testify in hearings? How do we ask them to write legislation that would be helpful for our community? How can we help them as they write legislation? So like working together, kind of trying to form the weave that the left has. We have to mimic what they do. While it is slightly insidious, it is effective. We've got to build our own communities and our own networks, working with C3s and C4s and PACs and all of the groups, and coming together to fight this woke insanity.
So that's good. That's a good observation, because to see kind of like what the left is doing right, and it just seems like it's a finely oiled machine, and there's a lot of like working together with different departments, and it's like, to defeat them, you kind of have to see like, okay, what makes them so successful.
They're a hydra. You cut off one head, another one pops up. Like it's
like a starfish, like a gay starfish. Should we go through some of these slides here? Okay, so I'm going to do my best to go in order, but there's so many. So this is like I guess this is an overview for a curriculum. This looks like almost like a PowerPoint presentation.
It is. It's a PowerPoint presentation that you can find right now on the Wisconsin Department of Instruction website under their LGBTQIA+ resources. And what it does is, this is for the teachers. and the staff members. This gives them, here are the resources that you can go to. You should use the genderbread person to talk about gender identity. Here's the gender unicorn. And you could talk about gender identity using the gender unicorn. Obviously, those are for very young kids. They're for 4-year-olds. And as a matter of fact, I didn't send it to you, but there was there's resources for gender expansive toddlers on the Wisconsin DPI website, and how to talk to, because it's the belief that that even babies and toddlers can be more attuned to their gender identity than parents who simply know their sex assigned at birth. There's
so
dumb
ridiculous.
parents and that dumb doctor that just looked at their genitalia and they didn't wait to find out how their child felt about their own gender, and that can change every day. And so you could see this, like all the different parts of the unicorn and gender identity, gender expression, sex assigned at birth. And so when you see this language, you're not surprised that just the big headlines all weekend were my Governor Tony Evers, tried to change and erase mother out of of a 1,900-page budget bill, and every place it said mother, he put inseminated person.
Oh my gosh, I was just reading about this. This was news like just today?
Yeah.
You say
Elon Musk reposted
inseminated
it.
person.
Yeah, Elon Musk reposted it. It's just went huge. It went just crazy. But that calling mothers inseminated persons, persons who get pregnant, a person who experienced childbirth, and then the husband or father is the person who inseminated the pregnant person. It's in this
taking
language.
all the romance out of it. My God.
Happy person who's been inseminated day.
Right. What happened to Father's Day, Mother's Day? Libs of TikTok reposted it too. WTF is going on in Wisconsin? Wisconsin budget. This is your state. How embarrassing, Scarlett.
This is my state.
Wisconsin
and Elon Musk reposted that.
2025, 2027. Word previously used, wife or husband, changed to spouse. Word previously used, mother, changed to inseminated person. That's infuriating. Word previously used from paternity, changed to patronage.
Yes.
Like you're a patron of the arts. That's insane. Word previously used, father, changed to natural parent. Word previously used, man, woman, changed to person. What is the reason behind all of this other than to confuse us?
I believe it's to disrupt societal norms. These are trained activists are using language. They're deconstructionists. A lot of it goes deep. I won't even try to say that I am, Chris Rufo or James Lindsay, but from the books that I've read and the materials that I've read for myself, this is all about breaking apart the most fundamental identity group, the identity group that is the strongest, the identity group, the foundation of any society. It's the family. The family is the group. It's not your political party. It's not even your church. It is your family is, that is your fundamental identity. And think about how a mother is revered throughout human history, sacred, to be put on a pedestal, like, because we give life, and to degrade that to inseminated person I hope that it shocks the conscience of Americans so that they understand what these people would do if they had the power to do it. Right now, we can laugh at this. We can make jokes. We can do funny Mother's Day cards. But if these people had the institutional power, which they almost did, if Trump would not have won in 2024, they would have, this language would be everywhere. And if you didn't use it, the pronoun police could come after you. Imagine if Elon Musk did not have X, if we Like you
Right.
talked about Facebook. I mean, I can barely get 100 likes on a post that I could get 12 million on X.
Mhm.
Still to this day, Facebook is still difficult.
Yeah,
With
and you're right, and look how far the pronoun crap went. It went into, the emails and in the signatures of anybody who worked in corporate America, and I'm sure maybe in schools. I mean, I don't know if anybody in the chat places that you guys have worked have seen, people using pronouns or having it being forced in emails and things like that. But I can definitely
and
see how this stuff would have been forced as well. And it's really it's meant to dehumanize and like you said,
yeah,
Scarlett, make it less special. Like mother, you only get one mother. It's the person you're the closest to. And when you change it to something ridiculous like inseminated person, it almost sounds like, well, it's up for grabs now. It's not just that one special woman that birthed you. It could
yeah,
be again, it's like I think this is a half step towards, you know, transhumanism. They're already
yes,
working
it is.
on wombs that are outside of the
Yes.
human body, and now it's like, well, once we have inseminated people, then is it really that far of a jump to be like, well, I was conceived in like a fake womb, so I don't know. I don't really have a mother. I was made in a lab. It's sad.
I remember reading Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, 1984, George Orwell, but especially
Mhm.
Brave New World, thinking, wow, now it's becoming a reality where babies are birthed. There's going to be like the government run center where all the babies get born, and it's to actually have a human child is like, oh, that's gross. Like you had your own baby. Like, I mean, it's like a
How
Black Mirror at
retro.
this point.
Yeah.
It really is. We're living we're like Black Mirror. I can't even watch the show anymore because
Mhm.
it's like this is like happening.
It's too
But
true.
yeah, it's very dehumanizing. When then I just was watching a podcast, and I've had 5 kids and didn't know that all my children, some of their DNA will live in me forever, and some of my DNA in them forever. But
Wow.
their DNA, when I get sick, their DNA that still resides in me will help to fight off the infection.
Wow,
So
I've heard that.
they're
That's in
fighting for my life every time I
Yeah.
get sick, and I am theirs. Like you've just had a baby. Like there's just nothing more. It's just nothing more profound than this
Mhm.
human inside of you, and then giving birth, and like this. The bond is just
Oh,
it's
yeah,
so
I was so
amazing.
blown away to learn that when you're breastfeeding, like, your baby actually, like, every time they make contact with you, they're actually kind of putting in an order for what they want. Like, if they're struggling or getting over an illness or they need a certain, I don't know, like, a vitamin or I don't know, they can actually be they're sending a message to your body, and your body sort of concocts in your breast milk whatever immunities that they need to help them get over whatever illness, whatever they're dealing with, whatever, even if it's a growth spurt. And I was like, that's incredible, and that's something formula could never replicate. I don't know if that's something that these fake wombs could ever
Yeah.
replicate. I doubt it. I doubt they'll ever. You can't play God. You're never gonna be as good as the real thing.
Well, they hear
Um,
your voice.
mhm.
There's it's this is the natural. There's something there, and I don't know what happens when we take that away. And right now this is a very large experiment that we're conducting on children, where we are taking children, and having had like 5 of them, I know that uh, I know that I've had 3-year-olds that were dressing up make believe, Peter Pan to princesses. They love to take on these identities. They love to play dress up. They live in a magical world,
Mhm.
and to rob them of the magic of being a child, and then to say, well, if you're a boy and you're playing with a doll, well, you must be transgender. like you're a girl trapped in a boy's body. Or if I was a tomboy. I was very close to my dad. I didn't wear dresses. I played G.I. Joe and He-Man, and Barbies too. But imagine being told, well, you must be a boy deep down. I was a tomboy until I wasn't. Until then, suddenly I got closer to my mom. I went through puberty, and the breasts that I was like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed to have, suddenly were like, oh, these are they're like, you're suddenly like, oh, I'm gonna wear
Me
it.
too. Me too.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like I was like kind of had like puberty late. I remember being like, I even had girlfriends that were like, you need to walk around. This was middle school. I remember they were like, Chrissy, you need to like wear a pad around all day so you know what it feels like. And I was like, what? Why? But I don't know, because they all were like hitting puberty early, and I was into sports, same thing as you. And just, I don't know, I was not like super into boys for a while. I just was like very busy, very athletic, and it's just, and it's like you said, it's ruining their playtime. It's ruining their creative experience to say that, like, because you like one thing or another, like, well, now we're making this permanent, and that has to do with now your gender is written in stone, and we got to immediately get you on hormones because for a few months you were into something.
When you see the materials they show the kids, and then they make it so special. Now that's the other thing. They like there are literal support plans and different things that they do, like sex assigned at birth. In one Oregon school district in Wisconsin, they'll have a lessons called thinking outside the gender box. And so yes, I think I might be transgender. And so they'll make like, well, you could just be a cisgender, boring, bland. Oh, you just you identify as the sex you're assigned at birth, and you're
boring.
Boring, blah blah. Or you could be this unicorn, this magical, and it's colorful and it's bright, and you're celebrated, and you're put on a pedestal,
and you're the teacher's favorite, right?
Yeah, the teacher's favorite. You're so special, and no one can criticize you, and you can every day walk into the classroom and have a different identity and a different pronoun. There was a lesson from the Wisconsin Department of Instruction that had a myriad of different pronouns, including rock, self, it.
Come on.
Yes. One was call me tree, and I have that here. Call me tree, and it's a lesson. It's a lesson this was for 3 and 4-year-olds. The pronoun was tree. And you can see through there, and it's realistic. Oh, you have to watch this.
That's for later. Let me go through these to choose. I'm probably doing this out of order.
That was an in-service training where the instructor was telling all the Wisconsin educators to detox from Midwest nice, and basically that you need to be a disruptor, a co-conspirator. They use that word a lot. You should co-conspire against parents, against MAGA, and you should work with the kids, because often the kids are from, especially in rural Wisconsin, they have these backwards MAGA parents, and you might be the only lifeline to the beautiful, bold, expansive gender universe. Like Jane Fonda said, woke is just giving a damn about somebody, so they get to feel superior. They get to feel like gods. They make godlike decisions. My cat is now here.
Good. Your cat feels passionately about this.
Oh, yes, I know. Every time I'm on a Zoom, my cat Ariel, yes.
He's so cute.
He likes to get on too.
Right. So I don't know if you guys have heard the term. It's Midwestern nice. But it's supposed to be a compliment. But you have these Marxist educators coming in and saying, Midwest Nice just covers up white supremacy. It's a barrier to social justice. Bold
Yeah.
leaders spend likability with the white global majority, funded by idea grant through the DOE. This is
Yep,
ridiculous,
this
and
is
it's
federally funded. This is all federally funded.
Mhm.
And hopefully it won't be anymore because of the executive orders, and Linda McMahon will be pretty soon confirmed as the Secretary of Education. They're going to dismantle it. I know that there is a current case where they're trying to block DOGE and the Trump administration from going through the budgets of
Yeah.
the Department of Education. And it's because, to me, it's the most, probably one of the most important organizations that need to be under scrutiny, need to be their grants need to go away.
Yeah.
And not to say that we should move some of that money into finding new curriculums, alternative curriculums, phonetic learning. Our recent scores they were just released about a month ago show a huge decline in reading and in math, and we are, of the 40 industrialized countries, we are in last place.
Oh no, I'm not
So
surprised. It's horrible.
our kids, for the most part, half of America's kids do not read at grade level. In Wisconsin, only 5% of Black students can read at grade level.
But how many pronouns can they name? How many
Oh,
different
yeah.
genders can they name?
Yes. And how many, they can have Black Lives Matter rallies, and they can say a bunch of nonsense, and they can feel really good about themselves, but they can't balance a checkbook. They don't know how to write cursive, and they're graduating reading at a third grade level.
It's such a disgusting. Yeah, I'm hoping that this is going to change. And this looks like what, another slide. This was something. Would you say? What's the note down there? Sixth and seventh grade.
This is part of a comprehensive sex education curriculum. Right now, this same curriculum was just adopted in Maryland. It is used in New York. It is used in Illinois. It's used in California. It's Advocates for Youth, 3 Rs. It's the most popular. It's used in, I believe, 26 states, mostly blue states. It is mandated curriculum in New York. It's mandated in California, mandated in Oregon. It's going to be mandated in Maryland. Starts at 4K, and parents do not have the option to opt out. So the lessons are embedded into what's called social emotional learning. So social emotional learning components will be in math, science, reading, everything. So what they recognized is that, parents would say, I'm opting my kids out of sex ed, and if it's going to be this garbage. And in order to avoid that, they're passing bills that it's too important. It's too important. You can't opt your kids out. They need to learn sexual health, and they need to learn about respect and belonging and resilience. And while you think that they're learning, kind of like the birds and the bees, the way that you did, no, this is a radical curriculum. Planned Parenthood is a big part of it. And right now, Planned Parenthood's being sued, and I hope that they start to get defunded, because billions of our federal dollars fund this at the state and federal level. But you can
and what if you wanted to encourage your kid to wait until marriage? I think that should be something that's like, why are they teaching that in schools? Like, why isn't that, are they not even presenting that as an option?
They're presented as in Wisconsin, they have to present it as an option, but the way that they do, that there's videos, you're lame, you're lame, you're dumb. You could say, well, kids should learn a little something about condoms. These are 3rd and 4th grade lessons. So I don't think your 3rd and 4th grader needs to learn about condoms. I don't think in 5th and 6th grade, they need to go to a Sex Etc. site and learn everything about condoms and dental dams, which I didn't even know what those were.
I still have never seen a dental dam in my life.
Yeah. Like butt plugs. Like I didn't know what any of that was, and I wish I never did. But there are books, and these are some of the books that a lot of Moms for Liberty members will say when they call book banners. There's just certain books that are so objectively, they're pornographic. Basically, they are obscene, and the definition of obscene in most states is that your average person in your community would say this is inappropriate. This is not this is just not good for kids. There's nudity, there's sex acts, and we would use an age appropriate sliding scale. And so there's some of this material that's just for kids that are too young. This is for a 4th grade. This is a lesson on gender expression. And again, you notice that the characters are ugly. They're grotesque. They're and there's a meaning behind that. I know there was one. There's an article called "Drag Pedagogy: The Playful Practice of Queer Imagination in Early Childhood," and the person who wrote it, Little Miss Hot Mess, is actually like a PhD professor that writes curriculum that influences people in New York and California, where the big centers, Oregon, where the big centers are, where they're writing all this curriculum. And he said that, and I quote, "The goal of radical gender theory is to leave a trail of glitter in the minds of children such that it will never come out." And if you have a daughter, you know, like princess dress glitter, you never get that stuff out. And they want to very young imprint into kids that this is normal. So imagine one social emotional counselor told us, she quit her job when one of her assignments was to bring 1st grade girls into the bathroom and teach them that if they saw a guy that looked like that, this obese man in a dress in the bathroom, that they should not scream, they should not turn the other way. That's not kind. That's not belonging.
Oh, wow.
That could be a girl. You shouldn't look at the outer. You don't know their heart. And so she's basically teaching girls all of their spidey senses to turn those off. Turn off all the hundreds of years of evolution, all thousands of years, where women, the instinct that we have, like, run from this situation. This is a dangerous
kids, just strangers in general. You could even be like, oh, a strange woman is creeping on me in the bathroom. Like you have to be you have to keep your antennas up for stranger danger, and just any stranger. You shouldn't be letting it. Doesn't almost like they're really trying to kind of just educate that out of kids. Kind of, it's brainwashing. It's really scary.
Boys are sex trafficked just as much as girls, and they are molested and abused just as much as girls are. So you're right. We tend to focus on the girls, but the boys are not all right. The entire culture is emasculating them, and it's and like, look at what we're left with as women. I mean, we don't. Like I always say, I talk to my daughters all the time. I'm like, you are not attracted to some soy boy, guy that's like never going to get off the couch and is like, using the pronouns. I mean, that's just gross. Like,
nobody's into that. Yeah.
No one's into that. I don't believe it.
And so this is one of your tweets. Woke Alert DEI instructor in Wisconsin promoting the gender unicorn, telling K through 12 teachers that in her gender identity, she can identify as a woman, maybe as a man or something in between. In her gender expression, she is mostly masculine, a little feminine, and queer all around. First of all, who cares? It's all a distraction to distract away from the actual subject you were hired to teach. And it's like you said, they have a bit of a God complex. I feel like some of these teachers, they probably don't have kids of their own. They're using your kids, our kids, as their kind of test subjects. And it's almost like they get, they get bonus points if they can find a kid that they think is trans, and like, oh, I have this I found this diamond in the rough here. It's my job to sort of polish this trans kid and turn them into a trans butterfly. I don't know. It's
Well, you think with women, what they've done, I think, and I think Jordan Peterson has said this, you can't take out that instinct, kind of that mothering instinct. And when you're telling girls, don't have babies because it'll ruin your life and ruin the planet, don't get married, they've got to move that instinct, that nurturing instinct to take care of it. It needs to go somewhere. And
cats usually goes to not your cat. There's
but I think that they're like, they have to now nurture like the most troubled, the most broken, identify with a kid that's having issues and then try to fix them. And here's the blueprint, fix them this way. A lot of these kids that do struggle with gender dysphoria are on the spectrum. But for the most part, and this isn't just anecdotal, although I've been told this by medical professional. One medical professional in Milwaukee told me that in his clinic, every single child, he's like, without exception, every single child that he was working with that had issues with gender dysphoria was sexually assaulted. He's like, every single one. He said,
wow.
He's like, I can't speak about this publicly. I'm glad that you are, because these are kids. There is an underlying issue that's not being dealt with. And instead you're taking a girl that was, or a boy that was traumatized, that was assaulted. And of course, now they hate their body. They hate their breasts.
Right.
They don't want to be seen as a woman because they were something was taken from them, their innocence. And instead of dealing with that, you're dealing with that superficial, and you're allowing them to descend further into this really unhealthy, mentally unstable state, instead of trying to help them. And a lot of these kids are also same-sex attracted, which is why I work with Gays Against Groomers, because what they recognize is a lot of these kids would grow up to be gay, and instead they're transing the gay away. And that's something that Jamie Mitchell has said. They come with us to speak at school board meetings, and they say things that we often can't. Just like it's Puerto Rican, I can say some things about critical race theory that maybe some of my friends who are white, or they, even though I tell them, hey, you have every right, you can call out, you're not born a racist just because you're white. You can call out this evil. But, I'm very comfortable talking about it because of my background. They're very comfortable pointing out that this is not why we fought for all of our right. Our predecessors fought for our rights, so that we could be seen as equal and participate equally in society. And now you are saying that if you're gay, that for some reason you want your kids to read pornographic material. And so my gay friends are like, who want to have kids or who have kids, say, I don't want my kids to read this. And I will teach them about sexuality. I don't need you to do it. Thank you very much. You don't need to save me or my kids. And I know my kids have had gay teachers when they were younger. They didn't even know that my daughter didn't know her kindergarten teacher was gay. He never talked about it. We knew, but he didn't go around hey kids, gather around. Let me tell you the details of that,
And even if these kids turn out to be gay, like, you could be gay and still be like kind of vanilla. Just because you're gay doesn't mean you're going to be like, give me the biggest butt plug you got. Give me all the bells and whistles. Like, just because it doesn't mean, well, now you're going to be as degenerate as possible. It's very arrogant to just assume that how someone is going to turn out.
My gay friends
their
never wear
sexuality.
pride stuff. I've never
Yeah.
seen, they've never gone to Target and bought the rainbow, I think maybe they said when they were younger, maybe when they were teenagers, it was little rainbow thing, but it's just like I don't walk around with a Puerto Rican flag,
You don't walk around keying people's cars, even though that's in your nature.
I know it is. I don't put plastic on all of my furniture.
Right. John Orchard, thank you for the super chat. Damaged people are easier to control. Damage them early and you can control how they think and feel. Well, true. And you have sick people who were, the cycle just continues. People who were abused tend to be the ones who abuse kids themselves. And, you're going to be turned off from your body if your body is the thing that welcomed the abuse. So if it's your boobs, or if maybe you didn't even go through puberty yet, you're going to think, okay, well, it's something about me that attracted this abuse. So I need to either gain a bunch of weight or become body dysmorphic, or you're going to get a complex that you're probably going to need therapy for, or you're going to need to work that out. But it's trans is not the answer for the majority of people. Rhinoceros, thank you. I just felt the need to mention Charlotte is your but's book titled The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. It's a must read. Oh, I'll check that out. Thank you, Rhinoceros. Let me make sure I'm getting to all these slides here. History is a weapon. Oh, this sounds like part of the
she's a Marxist poet, and
Audre
basically
Lorde.
you can't use the master's tool, Audre Lorde. You can't use the master's tools to dismantle the master's house, meaning to deconstruct America, to bring about the Marxist revolution that will ultimately, they never say how they get there, but somehow you're just going to overthrow the whole system and you're going yada yada yada. Then suddenly you're living in this paradise and never quite comes to fruition. Hundreds, millions of people are dead. And still no evidence that communism works, but they're still fighting for it. And so what she says in there is, because she was she identified like as queer way back when in the 60s and 70s, but using gender and race, all these identities, that's how they were going to deconstruct America, that they had to they couldn't use the master's tools. They have to use different tools to dismantle this house. So you have to, one of those tools is language, culture, the church, educational institutions. When they were figuring out like, why can't we get folks to overthrow America? They're too comfortable. They're too happy. So what we have to get at the family, we have to go in through education, and it is through education that through these institutions, they call it the long march through the institutions. It's through the institutions taking control of these fundamental building blocks of our society that they've been able to deconstruct, dismantle all the language that they like to use. And so that's why when you look and you see what's happening, what Trump is doing, he's getting the advice of very smart people in this, and you've got to go in fast, and you've got to make these cuts. You've got to take out this DEI. It's just killing everything. And in the military, it's just shocking what was happening, just shocking. I think like just today they were, or today or yesterday, Chris Rufo and Elon Musk and Doge, they put out the chat groups between the CIA, NSA, and the chat groups were all about, did you have bottom surgery? What pronouns do you use? Some people went by it itself. Yeah. And these are our spy institute. These are the people that are supposed to be protecting us. And, we always think like, oh, these really smart people are out doing their job, and they're in a chat group talking about dildos and crap and bottom surgeries and top surgeries and all of that stuff. And it's just really insidious what has crept into, and we spend billions and billions of dollars on this. We're funding this.
And Scarlett, you said you were a Navy wife and traveled around a lot. What is does your husband, do you and your husband talk about this a lot? Does he have any sense of like, you
Oh
know?
yeah, he has to hear about this a lot.
Yeah.
He's always shocked. Like he will, like, sometimes I can't even listen to this anymore. I have to leave the room. He's like, you've radicalized me totally, like he was always more conservative, but when people say things at work or and luckily, like, he has his own business and stuff, so he doesn't have to worry too much about that. But I've been so vocal that, like, he's like, I'm good, you're fine, you can keep doing your thing. And but it's funny that a lot of my relatives, even that are Democrats, I have family members, we break bread, we don't talk about politics, and you do not have to cut people out of your life just because they don't agree with you. You usually, it's me, like, I will, like, calm situations down, but they'll tell me, if they're teachers or if they work for the government in some way, they'll say, everything you're saying is right.
Wow.
I can't wait to quit. Like, I can't wait to get out of what I'm doing because it's just been so captured.
And tell me what the NIL guidance is.
Craig Trainer, the assistant. In the final. So what he's saying there is that Biden had changed Title IX, redefined Title IX, the protection of women. 1972 was established to specifically protect the opportunities of women in sports, and their athletic and their educational opportunities, and to provide them protection against sexual harassment. It was legislation for women. Just for women.
Wow.
That's it. Like, it was to protect women because they had unequal. And if you talk to some female athletes in the 70s, they'll tell you, there was no funding for their sports. There was, they had to fight for any opportunity. They didn't have equal access to grants and scholarships, and they didn't have the same educational opportunities. They fought really hard for that. And now to kind of bastardize that and turn it into something that protects gender identity, meaning men that pretend to be women. And so Biden had changed the definition of Title IX of sex to include gender identity, gender expression, and gender-based characteristics. And so what Craig Trainer is just doing as the Secretary for Civil Rights, the OCR that works under the Department of Education. So any complaints about Title IX that are made by a school district would be filed with the Department of Education and get moved over to OCR. And he just basically said, we're letting this Biden administration change. We're letting it expire. We're not going to basically double down on it. That's done. We're not under the Trump administration. Sex means male, female, and Title IX protects females and gives them the opportunities. And then, of course, Trump did the executive orders saving women's sports and protecting women from gender ideology. And so basically, so the signal has been sent that the new Department of Education is not, we're not going to, if you file a complaint, that, like, if a trans identifying kid files a complaint saying, I'm a boy and I want to play on the girls volleyball team, as it happened in Green Bay, Wisconsin, that if you file a complaint, they're not going to take it up, but if you're a woman, if you're a girl, like in Maine, what's happening in Maine and what's happening in California, where you have to go to a shower room with a boy, or you're playing on a team with a boy, and you file a complaint, or your family, that will be something that's taken up by the administration. So while they'll say these executive orders don't have the force of law, they do have, the Department of Education can decide which complaints they're going to take and which they're not. And they also have the power of the purse. And I'm hoping they defund pretty much everything that you've shown on the slides is funded by federal funds in some way, shape, or form. So
Yes.
take the funding away, and then these things can start to go away. They won't be gone for good. They'll find other ways to fund them, but remove the federal funding, and that'll be a big step.
Wow. Yeah, let's get into the because this was big news this week with the governor of Maine. I'm still catching up on it myself, and basically there was a meeting of Trump and all the governors, and Democrat Maine Governor Janet Mills says she won't comply with federal law that says men cannot compete in women's sports. And here is Trump's response to
I
that.
understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it? Well, we are the federal law. Better do it. You better do it, because you're not going to get any federal funding if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. Every state.
See you in court.
I look forward to that. That should be a
I look
really
forward to that. That should be easy. I love it.
Oh,
enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Every state has a responsibility to comply with Title IX. They have an obligation, a legal obligation,
wow.
and we'll be enforcing aggressively, and we're going to be protecting our citizens. We're going to protect. So just to end this administration,
Wow.
we understand Maine.
Yeah.
That's hardcore.
He's not playing around. And I was lucky enough. Wisconsin was one of the states that Trump was in like once a week, and I started to work with Trump Force 47, and I was the only woman on the Trump bus. I was with Kash Patel, Vivek, and a whole bunch of other, Lee Zeldin. There was Sage, but then after my bus tour, then some other surrogates came in, like Sage came in, and Danica Patrick came in, and Sage Steele, and a bunch of, we had Laura Trump come, and so it was great. Like we had all of these like stars, and right now they're all in the cabinet and they're all surrounding the president. So they were in Wisconsin a lot. But I traveled around the state of Wisconsin and spoke just like I am right now. I would talk about what's in schools. And what was great is that they got to hear a lot of what I had to say, and I would show them the materials, and they would take pictures, and they were like, this is messed up. We've got to do something about this. So people like me, people like Tina Deskovich and Tiffany Justice, and all of the Moms for Liberty members, we, in all of our retrospective states, we've had some influence. We've put this stuff out there, and I think we've played no small part in what's happening right now. So I'll take immense pride, and we will continue to help. I think our job right now is to really expose this stuff, because there's the real opportunity that Elon Musk is. He's watching, because
he's paying attention. Yeah,
he retweeted the stuff that happened in Wisconsin. So if we put it out there, and then Libs of TikTok picks it up, then Elon Musk is going to see it, because he watches that stuff really closely.
Yeah, people like yourself and like Billboard Chris, Jamie Mitchell it's really exciting what you guys are all doing. This was another post from Gays Against Groomers. Maine just handed a girls' state pole vault title to a trans-identified male athlete competing in the girls' division. This comes just days after Maine's governor pledged to defy Trump's executive order protecting women's sports. This was just came out this week. Unbelievable. Yep. That's going to be messy. Yeah. And
those are some cases. There's also Denver, where there's a case where they've opened up the girls' bathrooms to be gender neutral, and so the Trump administration is going after them.
This is the governor of Maine at a drag show? Come on. Oh my God. This is mental illness. This person is allowed to hold public office? Wow.
You see, like, it's this it's just such this, like, cultural thing, like, they're like, they're identifying. They're not using it, they're not thinking rationally. This is all about, I'm identifying, I'm special.
Ego.
I
Yeah.
you. You know, these guys, these are the fascists, these are the Nazis, and we're the good guys. We're like this resistance. And it's like, you know, if the mainstream media and all of the institutional power has basically been propping you up, you aren't the resistance. You're the evil empire.
Yeah, and Janet Mills is probably she's a straight boomer. And I think a lot of these people do it to feel cool and that they're current. And
there's also too many cases of teachers now, like, not, and it's not for the most part, but there are more abuse cases happening in schools. And I think if you send out the signal that, hey, drag queens welcome in our school, you are going to attract the wrong kind of person to be around children.
Yes.
I'm sorry, like, if somebody gets validation from dancing on a pole for little kids, you don't want that energy in your school. That is not good energy. Any sane, sensible person would think that. And it's just, I wouldn't go to Hooters and start hiring for preschool teachers, and I wouldn't go to drag shows and with it, like, hey, who wants to come work at the kindergarten? That's I'm telling you, there's one thing I cannot understand: parents that would take their kids to see a drag queen show with the strippers and all that. That gets into some territory where I'm like,
yeah, you need to be
parents.
Go and do that with your friends. Do a brunch with your friends. It's meant to be for adults.
Yeah.
Do it on your own time. Do not drag your kids into it. It's going to confuse them. You're not cool. You're not a cool, hip, with it parent by exposing your kids to drag queens.
That used to be a thing that girls would do, like, for fun, like adult women, like, oh, it's like
bachelorette party. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I'm just like, it just in a second, suddenly, like, wait, they're coming to the preschools and dancing for the kids. And this, we're all supposed to say this is beautiful. Like, okay, no, this, what could be, what's fun for adults, or if that's what's something they wanted, fine. But
it's also like not that important. It's really like these people are being propped up, and it's like they're just drag queens. It's really not. It's not like you're in an art museum. It's like, oh wow, this is something that's special we're witnessing. It's like no, it's a lot of cheap wigs, it's a lot of cheap outfits. It's really nothing exciting.
Yeah, they're all like now philosophers and.
Right. Explain to me what is happening here. This is a Virginia school board meeting. Let's see. Let's play this clip.
So she's an educator, and they are they're trying to comply with Trump's executive order, because school districts, at least 10% of their money, any school district in the state, in Wisconsin and the country, they're getting 7 to 10% of their funding from the federal government. And if they don't comply with Trump's executive orders, he can pull the funding away from that district. And so here in Virginia, they're forced to comply. They're supposed to comply, and they don't want to. And so here's a teacher talking about that. I don't know. Can you hear it?
Did you say you can't hear it?
I can't hear it.
Oh gosh. Oh dear. Let's see. How do I fix this?
And so she's an educator in the school. This is Prince William County.
Okay, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. Why won't this play? Let me see. What about now?
Yeah. Play this. Yeah, definitely. You need to play the Oshkosh one too. But there's a reverend that speaks here. This was just last
Let's
week.
see. Can you guys in the chat hear this? Tell me
Yeah,
if you
maybe
can hear
if they can hear it, it's fine. I've heard it a bunch.
Okay, something's going on with my situation here. And now of course my mouse doesn't work. Great. But yeah, she's just talking about I don't care. Oh, I don't care what
She
bathroom
was
they use.
basically saying that so someone says have to open it in the web browser so you can open a new.
Oh, I can't even. I don't know what's going on with my screen. Oh boy. Shoot. But yeah, you watch these clips, Scarlett. Maybe you can explain.
Yes, she's just basically saying that that we are the support system, the social emotional support system for all kids, and that who cares what bathroom they use? Nobody cares. They should be able to use whatever bathroom that makes them feel comfortable, play on whatever team that makes them happy. And it says somebody who probably has never had competed in a sport or has had a daughter or son compete, because only someone who's not competitive would say, oh, the kid should just, whatever makes them happy. It's like, no, my daughter's on track. She, we're going to a basketball game tomorrow. Like, she practices hard. She wants to win. It's not like, teams have good camaraderie and be a good teammate and have, good attitude, but ultimately it's about competing to win, not so that everyone can be happy. A lot of these teachers will say, I don't know why sports have to be this way. We should just all these are people that have never competed. Like,
Right.
And that's the thing. The kind of person that is woke like this is somebody that just, it's hard for me to identify with.
They need a hobby. They need something to focus on. It's like, unfortunately, it's like women who they need something and someone to nurture, someone who they think is below them, beneath them, in some kind of victim group, some kind of like abused puppy. It's almost like they will create the abused puppy just so they feel like, oh, now I'm very important. I have this thing to take care of. And it's like you said, they haven't competed in sports. Like I started springboard diving. I was 11 years old. I did it competitively every single summer league. I went on to coach the summer league all throughout college. I competed all throughout college, Division I. I still have the record at Fairfield University. It was a big, big part of my life, and it really shaped who I was, gave me discipline as a kid growing up. And as a coach, I know just the effect it had on the kids that I coached. And and you have to have special and just saying, oh, well, women, they can all compete against each other. It's like, no, anyone who's done a sport know that that's not how that works. Maybe in chess you can do that, but anything
rec league, go ahead, go into rec league and then whatever. But no, you can't just say like, oh, let's just turn sports in. I mean, they would turn sports into just, oh, let's just have fun, let's not keep score. And I remember when my kids were younger and they tried that whole don't keep score thing. Everyone kept score. We're like, whatever, we're all keeping score. Like, you may not officially be, but the kids are keeping score. If adults don't, the kids are, it's when they're really little. Yeah, you do the little, like, and they're all chasing the basketball. They're all in soccer. Right. They're all running around. It's really cute. But eventually they move up and they compete. And it's just so good for kids to be in sports and to compete and to lose, because you lose most of the time. Teaches you how to lose well, how to win well, how to work hard, to strive for things. It's so many good things.
Resilience, patience, all tools that you need for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed a lot of kids who don't do sports. Sorry, they're kind of pussies. Like you just it's very important. I just think whether it's dance or some kind of sport
Yeah, dance, cheer. I have a daughter that like she dance and cheer are her thing, and then she does track. It's karate, whatever, something. And if or get involved in theater, they have to be involved in something. You have to keep them. My big thing with my kids, keep them busy, and or my son, and he's about to graduate medical school. He had to have a job.
Wow.
If he wasn't, when he was playing tennis, and when he didn't want to do that anymore, he had to get a job. Like, they have to be busy. They cannot be bored as teenagers. Keep them busy, keep them working towards something, and don't let them you have to get to your kids before these people do, and
Yeah.
know all this stuff, so you know what to tell them, so that they're rolling their eyes in class and they're just like whatever, and they come home, Mom, you wouldn't believe what they were saying in class today. So
Yeah, and stay busy so you don't have time to just think about like, oh, was I born in the wrong body? Like I'm sorry, that's like if you have too much time on your hands if you're thinking about that. It's not good.
no, you weren't. You're not born in the wrong body. Like it's and then we've Detransitioners Day of Awareness is coming up March 12th, and all you have to do is talk to detransitioners, talk to families that have really suffered with this, because we could talk about all this, but there are actual children, and I had the numbers. In 7 years, there's been a 2,000% increase in children seeking treatment for sexual identity confusion. If you look at the charts, so they're very real families, very real children that have to deal with this, and it's not pretty. Kids wanting to go on puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, and then dealing with the irreversible consequences of that. And friends of mine like Chloe Cole, and Luca Hine, where they've had their breasts removed, they'll never get that back, and they have to live with that. Now they've turned that into something. Their advocacy, their making their lives, doing these wonderful things and bringing awareness. A lot of the legislation that has passed would not have passed were it not for these brave, I call them kids, although a lot of them in their 20s, but these brave kids coming forward, testifying and saying, this is real, this is happening, and there are very real consequences of it, and I'm suffering from them.
Yeah. No, definitely. Thank you so much for the super chat. Take the Ride 23. Thank you for getting the word out on this, Scarlett. This is a long game that goes back to Cecil Rhodes, backed by the Rothschild banking family to create a one world government. Check out Richard Grove Grand Theft World podcast. Ooh, will do. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it sounds like really, if you'd really dig into some of this stuff, and again, there's the transhumanism, the cult. This is very occult vibes, because it is a cult, and that's the other. I should say that that's another. There's my cat again. When you look at it, and you try and understand it. It's just like, oh gosh. Then I have to remember, oh, this is like a religion, and the way. So there isn't, except for there's no loving God. There's just constant struggle, and you're forever like atoning for the sin of being a white woman, I guess, because a lot of white women are affected by this. And I'm just like, I think that's another aspect, that all the critical race theory and all the messaging that you are a bad person, that you're born evil, that you did all these terrible things, your ancestors did these terrible things. How do you atone for that? Well, I'm white, and so I can't identify as Black or Hispanic. So if I identify as this new gender, then I'm special now, and now I'm not a bad guy. Now I'm not the white cisgender oppressive patriarchy. So there's all sorts of different things feeding into this like zeitgeist.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, it's really nuts. How can people, if someone's listening and they want to get involved, are there Moms for Liberty chapters, all over the country? Are there some places where if they wanted to start one?
Yes,
Um,
they should go to momsforliberty.org, and there's so much information. You could also you go to the Moms for Liberty X space. You could go to Moms for Liberty Facebook, but momsforliberty.org, and you could see if there's a chapter in your area, and if there's one near your area, so that you could contact someone there. And if there isn't, send an email. There's an easy way. It's super easy just by going on the website to join, get on the email list, and then think about starting a chapter in your area if you really, if you feel really driven to do it. And I didn't know anything. I started a chapter, and then, I mean, the aspect is I have new best friends all across the country. We chat, like all day long. We video message, we try to get together a couple times a year, and they're like my sisters. So you will get together, and all the things that you thought were only happening to you, or they're happening everywhere, and you're comparing notes. And so you have a real sense of community in Moms for Liberty, and that's what's really great about it. There's a lot of opportunities to learn, and everyone that's in it, like I do a bunch of other things. So, I work with my county Republican Party. I do, do stuff in my community, and I'm in Moms for Liberty too. And it's been wonderful. So I just think that if you feel like you're alone, you won't be alone anymore. You won't feel so alone. And it can get really lonely if you've been in the parental rights movement for a while. And if your kid is just starting school and you're like, hey, I want to get involved, I want to go to school board meetings, this is a good way to start.
Good, especially because so many aspects of this might seem intimidating to people, like maybe running for a position, or maybe they don't really understand like the legal aspects of what you guys are doing. There's resources to kind of like walk folks through that.
Oh yeah. We've got M4LU now, where it's great. And every month a new topic will come out. And so we just had a book club with James Lindsay, his book Race Marxism. And then last week there was a whole series that was with Chris Rufo and Robbie Starbuck, and about DEI. And then once those drop, a whole bunch of resources, so that if you never heard of all this stuff, you know where to start, and you can start watching some videos and some YouTube videos, and kind of like a PragerU. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create these like smaller bite-sized chunks that people can understand, because this all can seem very overwhelming. But it's, you have to start somewhere. So
Yeah. Thank you, Scarlett. Where can people follow you and find you online?
I'm very busy on X. So at Scarlett, SCARLETT, the number 4 kids. And also the Moms for Liberty, the, Moms for number 4 Liberty X account. And I have a Facebook account too, but it's easier. And my DMs are open. I keep my DMs open. So if there's something happening, if in your community, no matter where, you don't have to just be in Wisconsin, DM me. And if I can't help, I try to send your information to someone who can. And a lot of lawyers that we know, and we've been able to help out a lot of people, connect to a, if it's really a big thing, then you could have someone take your case, or at least they might write a letter, or they might help you. Sometimes sunshine is the best disinfectant. And that's where, Libs of TikTok has done wonders. And that's what we do too. We try and shine the light on these issues. recently we had in Kenosha, they were allowing a 16-year-old boy into the girls' bathroom, and he was stripping and rubbing lotion on his body parts, saying that he was chafing.
Ugh.
He was kind of leering at the girls, and the school was just letting it happen because they were afraid to be sued because he identified as trans. He was like a 6-foot tall dude. And
Jeez.
so I put this story on X, and it was picked up by Libs of TikTok. And must have like 16 million views.
Wow.
In 2 weeks, the school board met and changed their policy, and that boy was not allowed into the girls' shower changing areas, bathrooms anymore.
That's amazing. Wow. And you guys did that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
it works.
incredible.
Sometimes you just have to, they couldn't handle the pressure, and there was lawyers starting to get involved, and they're like, forget it, we're done.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
They fear us more than they fear the clown cars.
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, you have to bring lawyers into it. It's not enough to just say well, this is the right thing to do. You have to do right by the kids. They'll listen when there's lawyers involved. Scarlett, thank you so much for coming on and just sharing your story with us. And thank you for all the work that you're doing. It's really incredible. It's inspiring. I feel like I want to get involved. I was like, I'm a mom now too. I can do this.
Yes, you be Mom for Liberty. Yeah. Yes, we've got dads for liberty now too. We've got men. One of our ambassadors is a grandfather and father, and he was in the Air Force, and he's great. We need the dad and energy as well. So, well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Everybody follow Scarlett on X, on Twitter, at Scarlett4 kids. And if you're a mom or a dad, see if you could maybe join somewhere near you. And thank you to the chat for all your comments and questions and super chats. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.